What is a spiritual practice? It's a funny word, really, spiritual, because I don't see it as spiritual. I see that really I'm just teaching people how to be real. And spiritual practices are really practices to remove the false or to find the real. So a spiritual practice is any process that eliminates the false being the ego, the beliefs, the thought patterns, the dreams that are in the way of you knowing yourself as the real, which is truth. The other spiritual practice or reality practice is turning awareness that is usually on the mind and through the senses of the world back to itself, back onto beingness. And this is also a spiritual practice. This is called self-inquiry. And so in turning awareness back to itself, a glimpse of true self, our true nature, can be known. And in removing the obstacles, the dream, in other words, it is easier for the truth of who we are to reveal itself. So a lot of people get caught up in this idea of spiritual practices as being something quite strange, and to me it's not strange at all. It's very pragmatic. You remove the false and you look to the real, and that's why I consider myself a reality teacher or director, directing people to reality rather than some esoteric notion of who you are, to actually who you really are, your real self. And of course it's up to you. Those people who practice removing the obstacles, and those people who practice turning awareness back to beingness or to itself, will achieve their goal. Because practice, whatever we practice, we get good at. There's no doubt about that. And what we don't practice, we don't get good at. So if you have the practice of entertaining the dream, you'll be good at that. If you have the practice of being out all the time with awareness, you'll be good at that. If you have the practice of turning awareness back to itself, you will be good at that. If you have the practice of removing the obstacles that are in the way, you will become good at that. And so those people who are a little bit further down the track are well practiced. They're not dreaming as heavily, if at all, and they have a clear sight of their own true nature. If that is continuous, they are considered awakened or enlightened. If they're still dreaming, they're flip-flopping. Maybe experiencing or knowing self, true self, and then going back to knowing ego as self, which is kind of a flip-flop affair. Quite a major form of suffering. Spiritual practice, simply put. Meditation is a spiritual practice, but it's really a reality practice. If you're watching your breath and a thought comes in, you abandon the thought to come back to your breath being real, your thoughts being dream, being false. So there's a practice of coming back to reality. And in Buddhism, watching the breath is one of the main techniques towards equanimity and enlightenment. And if it's practiced, it works. If it is not practiced, it doesn't. Having all the knowledge in the world will not actually get you anywhere. Knowledge is practically worthless unless you practice. It is all about the practice more than anything else. And it's up to you, because you're the only one who can do that. You're the only one who can practice. So if you're truly interested in getting free, if you're truly interested in knowing your true nature, practice turning awareness back to itself, practice meditation, practice removing the obstacles that you see that are in the way of reality. And from there, we'll see what happens. It's all blue sky, really, because it's who you really are. Abandon the dream for reality. You can call it spiritual practice. I prefer to call it reality practice. It's up to you. Thank you for Satsang.